Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. It's Sunday, baby, the day of rest, but we're not all resting, are we? Certainly not me. I am out today, later on, helping people who are going to be struggling this Christmas. But for now, I'm just doing these videos. Let's get straight into the meat and potatoes as we've got some stuff to go over. Now, I will be going live later to fully go over this new audio that has been brought out courtesy of Jules of All Trades and the kind people who donated to her in order to enable her to request certain things. And there's some new footage that's come out, some new audio that changes everything. And this video that I'm doing here kind of premises that, if you like, in terms of what's got to happen here, what's going to bring all this case to a close. And I think we're starting to see some clues. But what I think is important to understand, first of all, is this new information that has come out is incredibly, incredibly important. It literally throws the entire timeline into absolute turmoil. But what I find interesting is the fact that nobody who you'd expect, you hope with all your heart that they'd cover it, but of course they're not. And who am I talking about? It's the likes of Ashley Banfield. Now, she talks about disturbing new details in the Rebecca Park case. She's been covering the Idaho 4, both on this and on News Nation. But has she picked up on the fact that this new footage exists, what it means, the implications that it could have? Of course she hasn't. So that's her gone. So who else? News Nation themselves. Have News Nation, have they fuckers like, despite doing multiple videos, constantly churning out video after video after video, multiple videos a day. Again, a channel that has covered the Idaho 4 case. They are not interested in pushing in front of their audience this audio that, again, throws this case, in my opinion, into utter turmoil. Brian Enton, for instance. Is Brian Enton another one who has literally built his whole channel around the Idaho 4 initially? He's grown massive. His videos get decent views, but again, not being truthful, in my opinion, not following everything, very picky and choosy about what he's bringing up in terms of the Idaho 4 case and making sure that we're pushing a specific narrative. Now, we've also got the Gonsalves family. The Gonsalves family, obviously, have lost a child in this situation, and you would think, because we know that they watch, we know that they're looking at stuff that's out there, though them themselves had recently been talking about the grub truck and uploaded the grub truck video onto their Facebook page, which, you know, I just think to myself, if you're a family who's really struggling, you're really suffering, why would you be uploading videos such as the grub truck video? A video that absolutely and undeniably sparked huge thoughts around this case and pointed the fingers at certain people and certain behaviours. But look, they put it under the guise of this was one of the last videos that they saw of their daughter. I just found it quite bizarre to post that publicly, knowing that that would garner a certain response from it. But have they yet spoken about this new audio and the implications? Because again, you would think that that would hit them real hard, and they would want to bring that to the platform to have some form of opinion, because you would think that the audio that we're hearing, there would have been conversations about it, and perhaps in the background, if there is nothing nefarious about this and no connection to it, they would know, no, we understand that this is what was happening. You'd think they'd put that to bed very quickly. But as of recording this video, nothing, nada. What we do have is a post that says, if you know, you know, and a picture of Bryan Kohberger tied up in, is that Kip from, what's that bloody program called? I can't remember what it's called. Let me know in the comments. But being driven as if he's being driven to his demise, if you like. And again, that if you know, you know. And we've also got other things that are out in the news, which is seemingly suggesting, let me just go over here, where they're saying that Bryan Kohberger is threatening self-harm in bid to move cells. This is something that's been said. I believe that News Nation had pushed something with respect of Bryan Kohberger potentially looking to self-delete. And I wonder now whether we're now starting to see the priming creep in, the priming being pushed upon us, so when something happens, we can say, well, we could see that coming because we saw that he'd been threatening to self-harm himself, he'd been having issues, he was obviously struggling, even down to the food. He was not happy about bananas even. And if something as simple as bananas were going to tip him over the edge, just think if there was something a little bit more important, such as meat and potatoes. If you don't like your meat and potatoes, look at what that can do to you. We've seen in the comments of my videos recently, it seems that if people don't like the meat and potatoes, they can lose their fucking shit. But look, it says, Boise, Idaho, Court TV, convicted killer Bryan Kohberger is so unhappy with his current situation in jail that he is threatening self-harm in an attempt to be moved, according to an investigator. Kohberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms plus 10 years after pleading guilty to the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogans, Anna Canodal, and Ethan Chapin, who was stabbed in their home in November 2022. Kohberger previously submitted handwritten complaints, and it now looks like Chris McDonough seemingly has some inside line where he is constantly being updated about what is going on in the world of Bryan Kohberger. As always, Chris McDonough, and I just find this hilarious. The hilarity of the one person who seems to have an inside line to what is happening to Bryan Kohberger just happens to be an ex-cop who themselves were involved in forcing a minor into admitting to a crime that they didn't commit. Oh, the fucking irony of it all. And if you don't know, search up Chris McDonough and the Michael Crow situation. And that doesn't end there either. His involvement in the Gabby Petito case and accusing somebody of being Brian Laundrie who wasn't and nearly fucking destroyed him. Did he issue an apology? No, he temporarily got removed from the platform and then got his fucking little Weasley ass back on it. But again, oh, the fucking irony of it all. But we've also got Chris McDonough who's coming out again because he seems to be the fucking oracle. And it's this: Idaho murderer Bryan Kohberger is trying to befriend notorious serial killers nationwide while serving multiple life sentences for the brutal slayings of 4 young students. Kohberger, 31, has been reaching out to other high-profile inmates from inside his cell at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Kuna, said Chris McDonough. So again, look, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this, and that is that this latest information that's come out, this latest audio, with the fact that nobody like Brian Enton's covering it, the fact that Ashley Field isn't covering it, Nancy Disgrace isn't covering it, nobody who's been balls deep in this case is really covering it from the mainstream media, legacy media aspect of things. They're still pushing out, their primary push out is that Kohberger is struggling inside. He is potentially looking to harm himself. And again, I'm saying watch this fucking space, because I would not be surprised if very, very soon Bryan Kohberger exits stage left. Because, again, we're now entering territory where there is evidence coming out, and we've always questioned the evidence. There's always been so many things. I was talking to Eddie again the other day, and Eddie had mentioned things about the car. I believe that Lana has also been talking about the car. Again, we'll go over everything tonight in the live. But little things, these little details that are being ignored that would suggest that Bryan Kohberger was nowhere near this property at the time this crime took place. And that was actually something that his legal team and Taylor had said early on. Bryan Kohberger wasn't around this crime at the time the crime took place. And we have a timeline that seems to have been, or where it's come from, is the surviving roommates. It all seems to have come from them. They have dictated when this situation started and when it ended, and so on and so forth. And it seems very, very convenient that the very people that seem to be where the inception of this timeline come from are the very people whose own behaviours have raised a huge amount of questioning, to the point where it seems like one of them has fucking vanished off the face of the planet. The other one has just copped over $100,000, and yeah, it's all fucking weird. And when you think that these individuals, especially the one who's just got paid over $100,000, literally, apparently walks past multiple times, it seems, one of the roommates who sadly lost their lives, Xana Canodal. But this audio that would seem to suggest that the crime happened an hour or 2 hours before. 2 hours. It's crazy. What was it? 2:27 a.m. seems to be where things kicked off, screaming. And we know that there's other things around this sort of period of time that have been referenced consistently through this case. But anyway, we'll talk about that tonight. But I'm bringing this to your attention, anyone who's willing to listen. If something happens to Bryan Kohberger in the next few weeks, few months, you need to consider what really is going on here. Because from where I'm sitting, where I'm looking, I'm not saying I'm right. I don't know. But that's the point. I think if someone's been put away for this length of time and lost their liberty, I've said this consistently, we at the very least should be confident in that decision and have been shown the evidence that proves that beyond a reasonable doubt. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. If you don't like it, fuck off. And yeah, with this new audio, unless somebody comes out and absolutely again proves or shows that this audio has nothing to do with this, I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it's a fucking coincidence if not, don't you think? But anyway, join me live tonight. Love you all, and I will catch you all in a little while. Mwah.